You should expect to see a new fleet of hydrogen-powered trucks quietly coming to a highway near you. In Brisbane on the north side, a factory has begun manufacturing XCIENT fuel cells, the world's first commercially available hydrogen truck. Once they hit the Australian market, they'll be used in the mining and resources sector here in Australia. We sent 612 ABC Brisbane reporter Kenji Sato to the factory to get a sneak review or preview. And normally in a story like this, you'd hear the sound of a big diesel engine starting up and all the associated noises with a diesel engine. Of course, with hydrogen, not the case. Have a listen to this.
Hey, I'm honking the horn of the XCIENT fuel cell, the world's first commercially available hydrogen truck. It's significantly less satisfying to honk, since it doesn't have the chain crank that comes with your diesel trucks, but it does have a mighty battery capable of driving 400 kilometres in a single charge, all while producing zero carbon emissions. It's been manufactured out here in North Brisbane at the Advanced Manufacturing Queensland factory. It doesn't look like your traditional car mechanic's garage. There's no oily rags and there's no smell of burning diesel. Instead, there's a sleek array of touchscreens and gleaming hydrogen tanks. Advanced Manufacturing Queensland has inked a deal with Hyundai to manufacture their trucks in Australia. It involves shipping over their American trucks, taking the guts out and flipping them over so that they can be driven on the left-hand side of the Aussie road. Chief Engineer Chris Fostineo is in charge of the whole operation.
It's groundbreaking technology. It's exciting. I haven't worked on anything this exciting in a very, very long time.
A hydrogen truck.
Yes.
So you go to a hydrogen fueling station, it goes into the back just like any normal fuel. Then what happens inside? You're the science guy. What happens inside? Technology.
So basically the hydrogen cell, the fuel cell, takes air and hydrogen and produces water and electricity. Electricity is then used to charge a battery and drive the motor generator unit.
Edward Kocwa is the CEO of the parent company BOSSCAP Group, and he's giving me a tour of the factory. The walls of the factory are lined with photos of politicians in high-vis jackets, also being given tours of the factory. Mr. Kocwa said that there's a great deal of political interest in hydrogen vehicles and EVs, but he says that in reality the red tape is the real bottleneck preventing this technology from really expanding in Australia.
Our biggest bottleneck is getting all of the little obstacles out of the way to help governments transact with companies like us. There's a massive push for, made in Australia, but when we want to transact with governments, there's a lot of things that pop up that make it hard for us to get work.
Like red tape, or what are we talking about here?
Yeah, definitely red tape. There's big antiquated systems that aren't set up for nimble new market entrants such as ours. I'll give you one example. The new vehicle efficiency standards, which has been released, it's giving credits to all the overseas manufacturers that are putting vehicles on the market except ours. And we transitioned our whole business from doing 1,000 big diesel gas guzzlers every year to these EVs, and we're missing out on the credits, but all the overseas manufacturers are getting credits. So now we're getting penalised and we're at a disadvantage to the market.
Yeah, because made in Australia, that's a big selling point for you guys. I was in your waiting room, I saw you've got a lot of politicians and their photo ops, but I guess that made in Australia is a thing that politicians say that they want to support. But when it comes to, there are still hurdles in the way of actually making sure that it happens, right?
That's exactly right. Well, these vehicles, 50% of the revenue stays in Australia. Jobs are created here in this factory, and not only in this factory, through our supply chain. We make sure that all of our parts are sourced from Australia and the manufacturing is done in Australia. So it's a big tick for Australia. But the bureaucrats, it's a tough job for them to integrate these into the fleet. Another example, in New South Wales, we're getting on the procurement panel there, and they've said that the vehicle is too fast to be used on the road. And that's just because someone's seen a spec sheet in America and says 0 to 104 seconds. But when these vehicles come out of the factory, we derate them to have the same performance of a Ford Ranger. But they don't reach out to us, they just tick them and say, not allowed for procurement with New South Wales government. And that's a shame, because if they had asked us, it works.
So basically, one of the biggest battles at the moment, the struggle with bureaucracy, basically.
Yes, 100%. And I know all the bureaucrats are all good people, but it's just a tough job, and, there's too many people to make a decision.
Kenji Sato reporting on that project on the north side of Brisbane. Does it qualify as a truck if it hasn't got that big dual horn blast that diesel engines normally have?